Welcome to Offline Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Bias, and if you know me personally, you know that I really like to talk. Hence, I decided to start a podcast that explores and documents the adventures and personal growth of graffiti artists, both here in South Africa and abroad. This is the first podcast that South Africa has to offer doing graffiti interviews. And every episode, we'll be interviewing a new local or international artist. Alright, hi guys and girls, welcome to another episode of Offline Guys Podcast. On this one we have a real special guest, a really good friend of mine. Her name is MOTEL7, and she is a graffiti artist from Cape Town, who's traveled extensively and done many different shows and like lots of cool stuff locally and internationally. Like someone that I really want to talk to because I think that she has like a lot of life experience, which is something important, you know. And yeah, man, I'm super excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. I think we were about to cheers, so maybe
We're about
share
to
that now.
cheers, yes. So basically, I have a special beer for this occasion. This is just a Castle Light, as I said, but
Yeah.
my producer has got me this beer from overseas that's a 9% beer. So we'll see how the podcast goes from start to finish. I'm a little scared of it. It's bigger than this beer as well. Anyway, cheers.
Oh, I'm curious. Cheers.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
It's
maybe
probably
you'll
from
be
Gold.
asking all the questions at the end of the podcast. We'll see. Okay, I might just be blackout drunk. You might have to call an ambulance. Anyway, so like our first question on the podcast generally is, okay, so you write MOTEL7 and the crews that you write for are PGS and WK. So what kind, which is like a crew formed, I guess you can tell me more about it, formed in Durban, between Durban and Cape Town, right? But I want to know, did you have another name that you wrote before MOTEL7? And what is the number? Like, did you go to a Motel 6?
Firstly, WK doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
I'm in 48K.
Oh, yes, 48K, obviously. Sorry, man.
But
Oh, man.
I think WK was like a very monumental thing for me, and it's good that you brought that up because I think that was my first real crew. I had one before that with Akon and Play One that was called Three's Company, and it was kind of a cute thing, just the three of us, and we would just go out painting, us three dogs. But then I got put down on NWK, and that was kind of the real start of my graffiti career, I guess, or I don't know what I can call it, but that was the beginning of me really taking stock with graffiti. Like I took it a little bit more seriously.
Well, how I remember what I know about you before I met you sort of more recently is that there was a competition, right, for gold that happened in Joburg and Cape Town, and Lumet was judging it, and then there was like it was on, I think, MK89, and I saw it on TV. At the same time, some of my friends from DS went down, Taps, Rexo, and Cosm, I think. Anyhow, and they painted this thing, and then they showed you guys had won the competition, which is like an international competition, right, for gold. It's like a Molotov-sponsored event, I think. And they were like, yeah, WK. And you guys had done this amazing wall, and you were on it. And I was just like, I think at the time, seeing MK and seeing you on that wall, everyone was like, whoa, what is this? What is this? Like cool kitsch, like funky graffiti rainbow. It was like the dude vomiting rainbows like over the pieces, which is like now what every kid wants. Every kid's like, I want unicorns vomiting rainbows, and it's like you guys did that fucking 20 years ago, dude. It's awesome.
I don't even remember that wall. Like I have no pictures of it at all. Like yeah, I have no memory of it. I didn't even know. Like I was speaking to Bushy Wap the other day, and he was saying to me, I was walking around the Right for Gold thing, and I saw you, and I think also I didn't realize at the time what effect I would have, years later. But it was like quite a big thing for me to realize, like Bushy Wap, someone that I kind of look up to, who's like this very talented, very cool dude. He was like, yeah, like I was watching.
I was there as a kid.
As a kid,
yeah, he was
like
probably
10
a kid,
years old.
dude. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that's awesome and like inspiring the youth. So did you have like another graffiti name before Motel 7?
I had two. My
Oh yeah.
first graffiti name was Cherry Bomb, and it was cherry and then little bomb. Um, I
Sick.
was like 13, to be fair,
Yeah.
and
Don't worry.
it lasted
I'm gonna
like,
tell you mine again. It's really funny. No one.
and then I was
Everyone's like, "What
Misty.
the fuck, Misty?"
Yeah,
Okay, that's kind of
yeah, I was
cool.
Misty for
Well,
like
mine
a
mine
good
was
year.
Alfonso. Mine was Alfonso, dude.
I know this. Yeah, I
It's
think
too long.
Alfonso is
It's
pretty
too long
cool.
and too dumb. Mm, I don't know, man. I get varied responses, but
I
I
think
think
that's
it's
the thing.
funny how people go through names.
You do, because you try to find something that works for you. I think eventually I settled on
Yeah,
Motel because I liked the M from the
yeah.
Misty, and I wanted
Ah,
something
sure.
that sounded a little bit less female. I didn't want to be feminine. I think it was like a big
That's
thing for me that
interesting.
I just wanted to have a name and be uh yeah, I guess a little bit mysterious. Whereas Misty would have been
It's
obvious that I was a female.
yeah.
Which is ironic
Motel
because
is
Misty is a French writer, and
oh.
he's a male, but
Well, people probably like get him confused all the time, but Motel is an awesome name, and even having the number with it, Motel 7, like the number always draws people in because people always want to know what the number is. I don't know. I met this guy, Smash 137 from
yeah,
Switzerland. He
I've
came
met
for
him.
a city of
Yeah,
he came for a city of gold, and I painted with him in like 2012 or something. And
yeah,
I
nice
remember
dude.
asking him why are you called Smash 137, and he was like, I had a cat that was um 13 when it died, and I was 7. And then you're going, this guy's like a fucking famous graffiti writer, bombing trains, bombing walls. Like, surely that's not the story of just his cat. Like, is it really like a cat story? But who knows? Motel 7 just has a ring to it. It's like, yeah, it couldn't be like Motel 2. Doesn't sound right, right?
Ironically, yeah, there's actually a whole chain of Motel 7s in America. It's it's actually they tried to steal my domain a few years ago, and I was like, "Fuck off!" Like, I'm gonna keep this domain as long as
I
I
was actually
can.
amazed by your
Um,
email. Your email is like, can't even believe you got that. Amazing. Like, I was like, what? She got
yeah,
this email? Holy shit. Incredible. Tell me a bit about how you actually started graffiti. Like, what you saw that made you be like, hey, I want to try this. Because you're a multidisciplinary artist, and actually I want to talk to you about more of the art stuff you make these days, but also about graffiti. Started with
how it
graffiti,
began.
right? Yeah, how'd you
It
begin?
did.
And when?
It started. I was 13. I
Mhm.
was in Norway, so my mom's family comes from Norway, and it was a weird time for me. I think I was at that point where all my friends were really into Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and I couldn't. I was. It was a hard no for me. I realized that I was not one of those. Uh,
Okay. Oh,
I
but
was
I
that
was
type
into
of
Christina
like.
Aguilera and shit back then, and I was doing graffiti. I was
No,
just
I
talking shit.
like I loved
No,
Cypress Hill. I
that's
was
cool.
into Body Count. Like I was into like weird stuff,
Oh,
and
Body
I
Count just
realized that I
released a
wasn't
new
normal.
single this week.
I know.
You must check it. Yo, rad.
They're very cool.
So
But yeah,
you
I
realized
realized
you were
that
like tomboying a
yeah,
bit more.
there was something different about me. I wasn't like a normal person, or I, I guess like what a cis white female was in South Africa at the time, and I there was a lot of things caught up in that as well, like just being a white South African and trying to navigate that. And there was a lot of, I knew very early on that there's something was wrong. That I grew up with very liberal parents, and
But your dad was an artist,
yeah, he was an artist, but I
so at least
struggled to kind of connect with people. and then went to Norway, and I was in Norway for over 3 months with my family. And my only real solace was going on walks by myself down to the train station and just looking at the graffiti. And I just loved it. It was very different graffiti from here in South Africa. It was a different style. There was a lot more of it, and it wasn't as political as what was happening here in South Africa. So I would just sit there and redraw everything I saw. Like, I was just such a toy. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like copy what I'm looking at. And then I went back to Cape Town, um, went to a new school and met this guy Silk, Nick Telford. I don't think he definitely doesn't paint anymore, but he was the first person that really showed me graffiti. And I fell in love. Like, yeah, my dad gave me the spray on. Was it the spray on book?
Hell yeah! And then you just were like, how did you like break into the scene then? Like, did people just like take you under their wing, or like were you like kind of like naughty and cheeky or something, and were like, hey, I want to be like you guys and do fucking graffiti, and they were just like, yo, come with us, we'll show you.
It was difficult. I think in definitely the first few years, there wasn't anyone that I did it on my own. So I went bombing by myself a lot. I did a lot of really stupid things. I used to have people, I think also back then, I think late 90s, early 2000s, a white teenager walking, on the highway, female. It was suspicious. It was weird. It was like, why? But yeah, I painted a lot alone. Like, I fell in love with graffiti. And I think that was also why it kind of stuck, because it was something that I connected with. I understood in some way. And I didn't really know anyone that painted graffiti at that point. Not yet. And then I met people slowly. I met Toe, I met Falco, I met people like, over time.
Scene.
But the first few years, I was by myself.
Solo. That's how I like it. So, but I can understand that. And do you feel like you had a craving to paint with other people? Because I feel like the art that you do now is very unique. And I feel like, because I know you've generally been quite a me kind of person, not in a bad way, just like a very independent artist, in my opinion.
I did want to meet people. I think that was the problem that I was faced with, that I was a bit of an outsider, and that I didn't really fit into the Britney Spears thing. I realized that maybe my people were something else, and it was hip hop. It was like that whole, so it wasn't just graffiti, it was like hip hop, it was Sage Francis, Atmosphere,
Awesome.
Immortal Technique. It was like that whole world of, like these very pain people that were, not singing about something romantic. They were actually saying something that
real life.
Yeah, that was hard.
Like
and
reality, yeah.
Yeah.
Reality. And you're just trying to find a way to fit in, right? In a way.
Yeah, and I've struggled with mental health my whole life. I think I'm definitely one of those. I think a lot of graffiti artists are in that same boat. Like, I think we all feel like we haven't connected in other realms, and that's the one thing that I feel like I understand it and I love it. It's something that, I can walk away from for a few years and I can come back to, and it's like, it's something that's
it has your back.
It's a forever thing. I don't think graffiti will ever leave me. And
no.
The community that comes with it, and the people that love it, and I think I took it for granted for many years. I really did. I think I was quite destructive for a long time. Um, yeah.
That's quite interesting. I don't know if you listened to our episode with Mars, the first episode, but we, you know, at one point he says, this is the special beers coming in now, by the way, but at one point he says that like graffiti community is like um a cesspool for the mentally insane. And I was like, I don't know about that, but mental health is a big thing, and it's really interesting because I think graffiti gives a lot of people an outlet to you know just express themselves and not go as insane as you could, if I can say that.
You know,
I hope.
the weird thing is, when I came back from London, I've thought about this a lot recently. I did not know that people still knew who I was. I came back with a very fresh, I was just like, I'm back. And I remember going to some jam a few years ago, and people were like, hey, Motel7, like, that's so cool, you're back. And I had no expectations that people would remember me. There is kind of like a written rule in South Africa that the minute you leave South Africa, you
All
just
your shit
like
gets
you
capped.
like
You're
off.
dead. You
Yeah,
like
you
drop
dead
off.
to
Yeah.
South Africa. You gone.
No, I think that's
And I
nonsense. I
really,
think more people need to leave South Africa and actually see what's out there. Because I think too many
for
people are
sure.
closed-minded.
Yeah,
People are too closed-minded,
yeah.
man. This podcast aims to like talk to people that have traveled and like seen stuff and like experienced a different side of things instead of just being stuck in their own little world. So tell us, like you left South Africa, you went to London first. Well, okay, wait. First, you were like painting here. You were in WK with Cade and Play. Who else was in WK? Two Kill, Nika,
2 Kill and Econ, obviously,
Aircon.
and I think Opt One. I think,
Okay.
yeah.
And it started in Durban,
Uh,
right? And then it went into Cape Town.
yeah, they weren't happy about me joining. That
Oh,
was so.
whatever, dude. I think it's one of the best
Yeah,
things they could have done. I think it's good. I think it accentuates the crew.
yeah. I
So
don't know. It was like a new concept to have like a female in a crew, and I don't know if they were like fully on board with having me.
super like
But
early
it was,
days.
yeah, but it was
That
kind of important for me to go through that because I think it also made me a little bit more hungry for it. I was like, well, you saying what
yeah,
about this?
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna go out and I'm just gonna like paint
yeah.
more. And I just did.
Exactly.
I was like on a like rampage of like, yeah, I just
No,
painted
exactly,
like
exactly.
nonstop for 4
I've talked to
years.
people about this quite a lot. Is like I had an experience quite a long time ago with a couple people. I'm not really going to mention it right now. I can tell you later. But they were like, "You're never going to be anything in the scene," and that just made me like push it harder. Like, yo, whatever, dude. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill it, and that really helped me. So, like, it helps having a little bit of a push. Anyway, so after you were in WK and you're doing graph, and quite a lot of walls in Cape Town I used to see on the Cape Town graffiti blogspot.com or whatever it
Yeah.
was. This is how I used to just look
Oh
at
my
graffiti
God.
back in the day. This is how I first saw
Uh-huh.
like
I remember.
Sure coming up and stuff. Yeah, it's made by that guy Ember who wrote the book
Yeah.
on painting the town, which is the Cape Town based graffiti book. It's really interesting. And I met him a few times, he's cool. But then you decided to go to the UK. I mean, you obviously have a visa that allows you to travel, which is awesome. I'm stuck here, South African. But so why did you go there? Did you go for like a job offer or like just to
So
travel?
it's it's a complicated thing. I originally went to the UK to
You
Oxford
can
to live with Akon because Akon and I were together.
yeah.
And he got a job there, and that was kind of the beginning of my career as an artist as well. So I had just had my first solo show in Cape Town, and it sold out the first night. And then
Wow.
I got offered another solo show in London. So it all kind of, it was one of those things where it seemed like everything was kind of, yeah, great. Like go over to the UK and have some shows over there. And I did 2 shows. So I had a solo show in London and I had a solo show in Amsterdam within 3 months. And I decided eventually to go live in Norway. So I lived in Oslo for 3 years, and
Awesome.
I think around that time was actually when my graffiti exploded. Like that's when I was painting all the time. I was going to Copenhagen every weekend. I was painting with One Up Crew. Like I was.
And then you
That
traveled
was
loads
like that.
because
Yeah.
you painted with Cope, and like you painted with Cope, right? And like Howard Nosem and like a lot of like super famous artists, like really interesting. And I don't think anyone in South Africa even knew.
No,
Which
I
is
don't think a lot
it's
of people
interesting.
did. It was a time when we didn't have social media, so a lot of
Yeah.
it was just happening,
We
in
were
front of me. It was
we were only seeing stuff. We were seeing stuff in the magazines on Street Smack. Was it no on Roadkill magazine?
yeah,
made by Spot and those guys, and there were like a
Flickr.
bunch of walls coming out. Flickr a little bit, but there were a bunch of walls in that magazine from London with you and Econ and like Ink Fetish and Jasic and like loads of dudes. It was really interesting because we'd see them and be like, "Whoa! Like, look at this thing! Like, whoa! Like, wow! With this guy's style is so crazy! Like, so cool, so
It
cool. I
was
loved
a
it."
wild time. Like, yeah, I think the whole Flickr thing was also so bizarre because a lot of writers thought that I was just this like a dude. I don't think there was anything that obvious that I was a woman at the time.
It is
So
funny like that. Like, you met my friend Metaphor, right? I think you were
yeah,
doing that giant Palestine thing. Metaphor was on Instagram and painting, and I was going, "Hey, really nice pieces, dude. Like, I really like these." And she said to me, "I'm a girl," and I went, "Oh, cool. I don't believe you though, because like you're just fucking with me, kind of thing." And she's like, "No, no, I'm a girl," and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, dude." Then when I met her, I was like, "Oh, okay, you actually are. You can't tell
yeah.
because it's social media. How are you meant to tell that? Yeah, it's
So
hard to
I had
tell
the
through that."
same thing with Rime, where Rime
Oh, you
had
painted
been
with a
messaging
rhyme?
me for a while, like, dude, we want you to come paint at this thing in Dublin.
Wow.
And I arrived and he was like, "You're a girl. Like, we did not expect you to be a girl, like at all." And we
Shit,
we ended
really?
up having the most amazing, it was so cool. Like
Awesome.
we paint a lot of walls, but we also like bombed a lot. We got so drunk. And then eventually Ryan put me in the exchange program, which was like this really cool thing that he set up. Like
Oh,
Ryan does a lot of cool stuff for
of
graffiti.
course. There's a whole
That
book
dude,
about
like,
it.
yeah,
It's
and like
it's
he loves
the On the
graffiti
Run
first
book.
and foremost. Yeah,
It's actually I would say it's one of the things that helped me like progress a lot because I read that book and then decided to do lots of exchanges with people and tried a lot of different styles
yeah.
and it really helped me like learn shit. Like I didn't know you were involved with that. That's fucking amazing. That's
I
so
was one
cool.
of the first artists to be a part of that, and it definitely changed my perspective on things. It made me feel like I think it was a few things. So I, back to the mental health thing. I think often I feel
Yeah,
like I'm not good enough, and
sure.
when someone has some faith in me and someone goes like, "No, you actually pretty good. Like you're
Dude,
okay. Like you should do this." And Rhyme had
you're
that
more than
in
okay.
me. It's like, dude,
You
you're cool and you're doing something different. Like it's you know.
yeah.
Um, and that sparked something in me, and I became really obsessed with graffiti around that time. It was an obsession, and I think we've all gone through it at some point, like where it
Yeah.
becomes like where you wake up
It's
and
the
you
only thing you
like
do. Yeah. Yeah. You
it's
think about it all the
everything. And I
time.
was
It's
painting
yeah.
daily, like yeah, every day
Yeah.
I was going out painting, meeting people to go paint, spending all my money on paint. That was like I it was the only thing I cared about. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that time. I'm not there anymore, but there was 2 or 3 years where I was
Me
just
neither.
obsessed with graffiti.
I think this
And
is
it's
like
because of
another
people like Ryan.
I mean, I think Rime is amazing. He does do a lot, like you said. He also does a lot of chilling stuff from what I've seen. Like he'll like just go to like some mountain retreat and be on mushrooms and then start like a live call with a skew and people will join and he'll just be like, "What are you guys doing right now? We're on shrooms, just chilling."
Yeah.
It's like so interesting, you know. And people are going, "Dude, your graffiti's amazing." He's going, "I don't want to talk about graffiti. I'm like having a trip right now. What are you doing?" It's like interesting, very interesting.
That's an
But
interesting thing that you bring up, though. Like, I think sometimes we get so caught up in the whole graffiti thing that we forget
mhm,
that we're actually doing this because we want to have fun. It needs to be
yeah,
fun. It needs to be
of course.
playful. If if it starts becoming um
Too serious and too
too
aggressive.
serious,
It's not.
yeah,
Yeah. I
it
don't
takes
know if I
away
told
from.
you. No, I did tell you. Remember when we went and painted that wall in Cape Town? Look, I'm always full of shit. Like I'm 95% full of shit. People know me as this. I have a tattoo that says 95%. I don't know if you've seen. But basically, like, and I talk too much, you know. But remember I was painting with you, and I was saying like, and like as a female artist, you know, it's mostly male dominated, and lots of men do graffiti on girls, and that's like a thing. And then I was like, do girls
Shrimp.
do shrimping on guys? I was like, graffiti girls, do they shrimp guys? And then people were like, I don't think so, man. I think girls are more
Oh
attractive
my
than
god,
guys. I'm like, no,
trying to push
bullshit.
that so hard. Yeah.
I know. But then I don't think I asked you if you did it. Maybe I did, but I got Nard to do graffiti on me as a lol, and it's funny, but it's fun, you know. It's like, hey, she wasn't super into it, and then afterwards she was like, "I'm so happy you made me do that." It was like really fun. It's fun, dude.
Just
So
knowing
it's okay
that
to poke
and
fun
like
at
knowing
stuff.
her sense of humor, like
She wouldn't be into that
I
normally,
yeah. No, but she would have found it really funny. She's just
but it's important to have fun when you're doing stuff, you know, like exactly what you said. But I know how it is. It's kind of like when you go on a holiday and when you come back from the holiday, you're like, oh, I feel so relaxed and like everything's like not serious. And then you go through like 20 traffic lights of dudes begging and like, it's like the reality hits you and you're just like, oh, jeez, I forgot that I'm in this like really hectic city. You know, it's kind of the same with graffiti. It's like sometimes you're just like really chilled and you have had a break and you can do what you want. And other times you're like, we have to paint now and we have to paint now. And this guy did this spot and they went over me and I have to go over that. And like, it can just be too much.
but
bias.
I think that's sorry, I think that's actually the problem though. That's the issue I have. And the one thing so I said to you earlier, like I always struggled with my I didn't fit in with I went to an all girls school and I was clearly into Cypress Hill and like yeah, like hip hop and I was not like but I also I think this thing of shaming people and like this
Yeah.
graffiti thing of I don't know, there's like a side of it that like I don't get and it's so stupid to me because it's not helpful. It doesn't help the scene and it doesn't help
Oh no,
um
not at all, dude. There are people that I don't even want to get into it too much because on these podcasts we don't really specifically talk beef. Maybe we'll get into it at some point. But there are people in the scene that just put other people down for no reason when they don't know shit. And like, sure, they've been around for a long time, but they don't know how to do anything else. They've never left the small scene. They don't know what they're doing.
yeah.
Like, and this, it's not constructive. Like, no one needs this shit. No one needs that. No one needs
No,
that.
we're already
Like,
a
we're trying
small
to move
scene and
forward. We're trying to move
we
forward,
really
not
care
backwards.
about for sure and we care about graffiti and we care about you know we're nerds about it. We talk about like the most stupid things. Like we care about like caps and like
Caps,
which
exactly.
paint are the best
What paint
and
brand?
yeah
Yeah,
and like there's all these
yeah.
like nerdy things about it and I think that's actually the thing that like I've struggled with my whole graffiti. However, like I've been in this graffiti world, I've not
Mm.
been the I've been a female, and I
Mm-hmm.
cannot change that. I cannot
Yeah.
change the fact that I'm a female. That's
That's a very strong
part
thing
of
to
me,
say. Yeah, that's you.
and I
That's fine.
cannot
You're allowed
change the
here.
fact that
You're
I'm
on the world. You're on the fucking planet, dude. Because you are. It's this. I know it's. Okay. You carry on, please. Sorry.
It's a weird thing, but it is like, honestly, I know a few female writers in Cape Town that were harassed quite extensively the last few months,
Yeah.
and I was like, what? Like, this is so stupid. This is like, and also people that I don't want to get into it because it's the same, like you say, like the beef thing, but
Yeah.
it's unnecessary. We should be supporting each other. We should be cheering each other on. I never in a million years
You've been to Europe,
would have
and
thought.
I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. You never in a million years thought. Sorry.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say when I've been to Europe, I feel like communities are way tighter and people are way more supportive of each
Yeah,
other.
they are.
Here, everyone's just like, okay, I paint my piece and I don't give a fuck about you, even though you're my friend, and I'll go with you because I need you to come with me because it's dangerous out here. So I need someone to watch my back. People are not exactly like completely cohesive though. I just feel like it's not as cohesive as overseas, maybe.
Yeah. I painted a lot more in Europe. So when I was living in Norway and I was living in London, I was painting constantly, so 2-3 times a week. I don't really paint here in Cape Town, not as much. It's obviously those things that you just said. It's a lot more dangerous. There's a lot of things like, yeah, Cape Town's just, it's also one of those things where I'm at an age where it's a little bit more difficult for me to go out,
Just because you're older,
or at least,
or maybe
yeah,
don't feel like
I
it
don't
as
know.
much. No, I like this question because I asked Mars in the first episode and Bulk in the second episode. Is that most of the people that I'm interviewing for this podcast are people that are OG, as we say. We're offline guys and we're OG. It's like people that are not super young gun, not just doing it because the internet tells them to. It's like people that have had time to like have a chill and a reflection on it, but who are also like probably over like 30 or over 35, and we're just like, we can't fucking face hangovers every day, dude. Like we're not, we've seen a lot of stuff. We've seen a lot of stuff and we've figured out who we are, what we're
Yeah.
doing, and how we're going to move forward, instead of just being like, I'm painting because the internet says it's cool. Which is why I want to, yeah.
I think that's the thing though.
Bias.
Like back then, it wasn't because it was cool. That's not why we were painting graffiti. Like we were not
No.
cool.
I know.
We were
I
definitely
know.
cool. We were like the misfits of every aspect of society, and yeah, I'm blown away that I'm being asked to do anything now, and I do. I
No,
get
but you're
asked
doing
by
amazing
brands
stuff.
to do stuff, and I'm
Let's
like,
talk.
what?
Let's talk about the stuff that you're doing now. That's like not graffiti. Like, so you started doing like oil paintings. They're oil paintings, right? Of like,
Acrylic. I've never really used oil. I would love to, but I don't use oil.
I just love to, but I think it requires a very dedicated studio setup.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you do these acrylic paintings of like girls mostly, I guess, in sort of like, I mean, I haven't been to Cape Town for a while, so I'm not exactly sure on the whole body of work that you've presented. But you had a show just after you came back from the UK the last time, right? And then you started like with a collab with Shelf Life. They still like have their foot in the door with like local artists and get like people to collab with them. And I know you spoke about Bushy Wop earlier. Bushy Wop did some stuff for them, and you just had this like exhibition with them and have a whole bunch of stuff on sale with them. And this stuff is amazing. It's like great, dude. Like you sold like most of what you did, right? Like from those exhibitions.
So
Like tell me
this is a crazy
a bit
thing.
about them and how that happened, and what your art's about.
I messaged Jake, so it's one of those things as well where I've known Jake for over 20 years. It's also one of those things where you don't realize time, like, it expands, and, like, suddenly it's 20 years, and you were painting with that person 20 years ago, and suddenly now, it's a weird thing. And I knew that they were doing artist series for, like, t-shirts, and I messaged Jake, and I was like, I would love to do an artist, like, t-shirt.
But at the same time, you just gotten back from doing, like, massive projects, right? In Mexico. Wait, where was it? It was... You just got back from this... In where?
Well, yeah, it was like full-time working in members clubs in London, like as a pastry chef. Like, yeah, I had a different life. And they didn't get back to me for a few weeks, and they were like, we want you to do a full capsule, like not just a t-shirt. We want you to do like a full thing. And like they fully embraced the whole Motel7. Like, they were amazing. They were so sweet, and really, I think supporting an artist that had been, I sometimes forget that, but I have been an artist for like 23 years or something. Yeah. Like, I don't know, I forget about it. But yeah, they were amazing. But yeah, I had another career. So I was a pastry chef for 12 years.
That is so crazy. And is like being a pastry chef, is it like, what is that world like? Like, based on what we've already spoken about, is it like quite... Do you feel like you fit into that perfectly? You must. Isn't it like quite a delicate like thing?
It's not delicate, no. I like...
Interesting. It's just like punching the fucking
I knew that I needed to do something. I got to a point, so we were talking earlier about my shows and my career. It got to a point where I needed to make a decision, and my gut feeling was that I couldn't carry on creating art. I think I just got to a point where I was like, I'm at my threshold. I need a break, but I need to make money. So
yeah,
we all need to make money, and I went into chefing, and I loved it. I fucking loved it. I did 12 years of it, and I did really well. I went into fine dining, really high end.
Have you ever thought of doing like some of your art on cakes? Or like on pastries?
Sure.
Like, I think that would be fucking awesome. And everyone just chow down on it at the exhibition. That would be the dopest thing ever.
Dude, like at some point,
like throw pies in people's faces and shit.
Yeah.
Dude.
I would love the two worlds to collide. I just don't know if they're going to collide just yet. But
I do understand that.
I have enough knowledge in both worlds that, like, I want something to happen for sure. But I don't regret my chef career. I made food for Elon Musk, and
oh damn, that's why he's looking so good. Well, he was. Okay.
Fuck that guy though.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, he was looking good when he was eating your food, but fuck that guy. And this was like in the UK, right? Mostly, or so in Oslo, like in Norway.
No, I was never a chef in Oslo. So it was in London, and it was kind of all consuming. I think it was 9 years of just being a chef. So I was still painting graffiti, and I was still like quite hard on it, but I was not painting like for art shows or anything. I just stopped. COVID, it's so lame. It kind of sounds cliche, but COVID, I was like kind of stuck inside, and I was let go by my job. I started drawing again. Yeah,
came back to
classic.
yourself a little bit, like in a way. I mean, you were obviously
I
always there, but
guess.
it's like you came back. When you were doing pastry chefing and painting at the same time, do you feel like, did you have like where were you drawing inspiration from, like for like your graffiti? Like, were you putting the two together? Because I feel like you were putting the two together. Or maybe it was
I
like
guess in
friends
some way.
inspiring you.
I think there is definitely some connection with the pastry and the, like, it's not completely separate. But I think I don't think I'm the first person to say this, but I think for a very long time I was kind of living a bit of a lie. Like, I was pretending that there wasn't this other part of me, and I was pretending that I wasn't, like, I don't know. I was not creative for quite a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe putting that creativity into my pastry. So that's where all my love was going in. It was like pastry, and like I took it on
It's a
100%.
beautiful thought.
Like, I loved it. But graffiti was actually the thing that was like my first love. And it's a weird thing to explain. And I think only real like graffiti artists have been doing it for a very long time can understand that. It's like a love that will never go away. It's something that will stay with you until the end of time. You will always be connected. You will never like drive on a highway.
No, and not know where you are.
And like not be watching what's on the side of the road. Like, graffiti is like a lifelong love, and it's a very strange, kind of tormented thing in some ways.
It's a different perspective, strangely.
Right?
Yeah. On that note, I have to go and piss like really badly. So I'm gonna hand over to my producer for 1 second. I don't piss in
I
1
also
second,
have
but
to go pee.
You have to go pee too?
Okay,
we
go
can.
pee at the
Well,
same time.
let me see if we can do this interview from the bathroom.
Go do it.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay.
So, Motel7, this is the part of the podcast that we call Questions from Toys. And Snook is your toy tonight. It's so nice to meet you. It's been really interesting listening to you.
Bias.
And big fan of your work.
Thanks.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So the question from this toy... The question from the toy tonight is, when you are sketching a character, how many times do you sketch that character before you paint that character?
That's a super good question. That's a really, really good question. I used to, as a toy, think that I didn't need any reference. You do need reference. You do need some amount of reference until you feel like you're comfortable to not have reference.
Yeah.
And I do sketch maybe 3 or 4 times before I feel comfortable with it. It's how it feels. It's often also what's the word? It needs to be like, think about.
It's natural
shape.
to you, right? You know what this
Yeah,
person looks like at a point. Yeah.
Think about shapes and think about
Yeah.
how like you can over exaggerate shapes and you can exaggerate a human being in like many different shapes, and it doesn't need to be something that's so
realistic,
you need
right?
to over exaggerate it.
Yeah. Have fun with it. Yeah.
Have fun with
Get
it.
weird with it. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be. I mean, I've always been chasing my whole life, trying to paint the like photorealistic thing. And I realized that wasn't for me. Like, that's my dream. Yeah, I see that in my head when I'm like, this is what I want to make, but I can't do that. So I think exaggerating things and making them your own is a really cool thing to do. And you're the queen of that. You're a queen. You're the queen.
But it's interesting that that you bring that up because I also struggle with that, and I go to live body.
Oh, it's like live painting classes. Yeah, it's like
I do,
models.
and I do try
Anatomy,
to.
yeah.
Yeah, I try to understand anatomy, and I try to. It's not like completely. I also put in the work. I think if you want to understand how our bodies work, like go to the classes and try, and I think that's also part of it. But if you want to exaggerate things, you just need to make it so ridiculous. Just make everything.
Make it fun.
Yeah, make it fun.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Motel7. That's the question from the toy tonight. I've got to go piss, so here comes the guy that never shuts up.
This podcast, as I say, it goes out to like people in Europe and America and here and everywhere that anyone can listen on the internet. And what I will say is, I'm looking at a T-shirt right now that says "Full Poloni Gatsby."
Do you know what's so funny?
Can you explain a Poloni Gatsby to me? Oh yeah, it's pretty dodgy, but carry on.
Okay,
please.
so Poloni Gatsby is like a full
giant roll, giant sandwich.
It's like a big fluffy white roll full of polony chips,
which is
sauces.
They don't know what polony is overseas, dude. Polony is like it's like
Bologna.
spam. Oh, bologna,
Spam.
yeah. Not exactly spam.
A lot of salad. But the funny thing is, I had a job today where I had to paint. So I think this is also something that I'd like to kind of bring up. Like, as an artist, we often have to do things that we don't want to do.
Don't want to. Yes.
I did a horrible job the last 2 days for a very rich man that I think.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucked. It was just like, and he kept changing it, and he arrived. So the whole time I was like working through an interior designer, and then he suddenly arrived, and then he was telling me what to do, and I was just like, oh, this sucks. Like, I don't want to do this. I think it's also a good thing to know that it's a hassle all the time. Like, it's not like there's great work constantly. I took this job on because I needed the money, I needed the work.
Sure.
But it sucked, and it was a very difficult client, and I had to keep going like, okay, cool, I'll try make this ridiculous thing that you want me to do, and it's stupid. And as a creative, you've snatched everything away from me, so like I'm not creative anymore. You just want this specific thing. You should have maybe just got it like
printed. Printed and stuck on.
Yeah.
I understand that. Get that a lot, and people just also take advantage of you because they think it's just some guy or girl who's doing like painting. It's so easy, like whatever. They never literally tried to spray one line and learn. Fuck, this is hard as shit. Like, how the fuck do they even do that? Man, I think creatives are taken advantage of for years and years. Sad.
It does make me laugh how people struggle with spray cans so much, though. But maybe that's because we've been painting for so long that like we don't think about it. I don't know.
I think we don't think about it. It's interesting. Like, there's a lot because I teach a lot of people to spray, and it's like not everyone gets it. I want to move on to like we were talking about having fun earlier, and like the graffiti is about fun, right? And we have like a bunch of silly questions on this podcast that are just like fun questions. So you already had your like question from Toy, which is my producer, Snook. He's the best though. It was a pretty good question as well, really good question. So I wanted to ask me a question.
Who is the most inspirational person you've ever painted with?
That's a tough question, but I'm gonna say that it's Mars because painting in Johannesburg is dangerous, and it's hard to just accept where you are when you're painting. Like it can be really dangerous. But whenever I paint with him, I always feel safe because he just goes in and does it. And if people come and give you shit, he just says fuck off. And I think for me that's inspirational because it's always kept me like sane. Like I've always been like on a very like neutral, sane level with him. Yeah. So yeah, probably Mars.
That's not the answer I expected from you, but that's the answer. It's so lovely. Yeah,
I
that
mean,
you
if
said
if I
someone
could,
that you respect.
I mean, I started graffiti because of Abe, in DS, and I have painted with him as well. But I wouldn't say he inspired me more. He inspired me more from the stuff that I saw before I started graffiti. But then painting with Mars has inspired me more to be better, and like we were discussing lots of ideas together and like how to like do certain letters and how to do certain effects, and like just one of the people that I've spoken to a lot about stuff. I suppose the other person I could say
I
is
think
Zester, because Zester and I were like super good friends at one point and like doing like a lot of murals and like trying to push Joburg graffiti. But it's
yeah,
hard, man, when you have a life. It's hard to live both things at once.
but I think also I
Bias.
don't know how you feel about this, but like I came back with very little. I honestly did not think that people even knew who I was, and I came back, and suddenly it was a lot for me to take in, and people were like, "Oh, Motel7," and like I felt very uncomfortable about it because I didn't really like I it was like I left some kind of legacy, but I didn't know, or I didn't agree with the legacy that people thought that I'd left.
Mm,
And
it's really interesting.
over time, I became more comfortable with it, and I became really good friends with some people, and people like Annoy, who's like
Oh,
probably one of my favorite human beings in the world.
Inouye is one of
Like,
my favorite human beings in the world as well. I never thought
he's
that
the
I'd
best.
be able to go and paint a wall and then have these guys play magic cards with me for 4 days at a time, non-stop. And then
Dude,
still like give me a tattoo and talk about life and like I don't know. I've met a lot of amazing people in my life. He's definitely one of them. He's definitely up there.
he's
But
one of
we
my
never
favorite
painted
people.
together. We've never painted together. So
No.
we've never painted together. Your question was, who have you painted with that's inspired you the most? He's definitely one of my favorite people, but we have never painted together.
Why? How? We need to make
Well,
this
oh no,
happen.
we have once. We have. I'm forgetting. We painted the wall in the stairs at the studio. I suppose. Maybe I'm wrong. Sorry. I've been drinking 9% beer. Give me a little break.
Show me the 9%
Because
beer.
actually, like
Show me
when we were painting this wall together, we were like he was on the upper level of the stairs and I was on the lower level, and we were like, yo, let's play some music. Oh shit, we don't have a speaker. Okay, you play it on your phone and I'll play it on my phone and we'll sync it at exactly the same time. So we end up like just like coming next to each other and being like, hey, our music's exactly the same time, bro. Like, because we're having so much fun, right? I mean, graffiti is about fun, and we spoke about this. It is, but obviously, like what we were just saying is, it's about reality. Is like, because we're good at graffiti, we also have to make money out of graffiti, and because the world exists and we're here, we have to make money somehow. And if our talent is doing graffiti, then fuck yeah, that's awesome. But we have a couple of questions on this podcast that are just like running every time, that are like, if you could ban one color, what would it be forever, and no one can use it, not you and not anyone else? Actually, maybe I'll give you a buy and say you can use it, but no one else can use it. Then it would be chrome, probably.
Chartreuse.
Hey,
It's
what?
the worst color ever
Shark tooth.
to exist. Chartreuse. It's like this
Chartreuse.
green.
What
It's a
brand is it?
green that's like I don't even know if it's a brand, but it's like a very specific green. It's acid green.
Ah,
Fuck
you
green.
don't like that color? Yeah, green's tough, right? Oh, you can't be colorblind because you're female, I guess. It's very rare
No, I
for women to be colorblind.
like forest green. I like specific greens, but there's a lot of greens that will destroy a whole mural and a whole art piece. Like, you either need to embrace the green or not have green. It's too natural. It's too close to, yeah, I don't know. It's a
That's super
difficult color.
interesting. You're the second person on the podcast to say that, which is awesome. Because Mars said this on the first one as well. He was like, can't deal with it, can't
It's the
see
one.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at my work, I don't ever use green. It's very
I know
seldom.
you use a lot of red and a lot of pink and a lot of like blue and yellow, I guess, you know. My next question is what is your favorite surface to paint on?
Graffiti wise?
No, anything.
I think a wall. Definitely a wall. Yeah.
There doesn't have to be restrictions because graffiti is not about restrictions, right?
Any wall that's just I think we all know that. Like that feeling of like just a
Just like
flat
a safe
wall.
Yeah, super flat.
It's so unusual, and I think that's the thing that like we've learned to paint over so many different surfaces, and we're just like okay with so many different things. But every now and again, you get to paint on like an amazing, like primed,
super flat,
flat wall, and you're
yeah.
just like, whoa,
I know.
this is cool.
It's a good feeling that doesn't drip. It's like the perfect texture where it doesn't drip. And then I have another question, which is we have this question on here called "Fuck, Marry, Kill." You know that game, I'm sure. You know, fuck, marry, kill. All right. Your fuck, marry, kills are Astro Fat Cap, Standard Cap on 94, and New York Fat Cap. New York Fat Cap.
Okay, New York Fat Cap.
Probably Mary, right?
Yeah, Mary. What were the other ones?
Astro Fat and Standard Cap. Standard 94 cap, the black one with the white
Astro
dot.
Fat, fuck, obviously. And then
okay.
I think. I don't know. And then Standard Cap, kill. But I also don't like this whole thing about Standard Caps being like the devil. I love a Standard Cap. Like I love
so maybe don't kill it.
with
maybe just fuck it. Caps. Just try it.
It's fun. Like I think people should stop being so scared of it, and it also doesn't matter.
I think people
like
are very
it can
set
be a
in their
little
ways.
bit like, yeah, just let things be messy. Doesn't matter.
And I wanted to ask you, do you have any like crazy graffiti stories that you've experienced, like maybe like Cape Town vibes or like Joburg vibes? Because I know you were here. We didn't have anything weird, but
I don't have any Cape Town ones. I've got like crazy Oslo stories with One Up Crew.
Tell me one. Fuck yeah. Tell me.
So I was painting with him like quite a lot over a period of 6 months, but it was like a very militant thing. And if you've ever painted with him, you'll know it's like
20 dudes rushing a wall, dude.
Oof. Yeah.
And everyone has a balaclava on.
Yeah. And there's always like a lot of like footage being taken. So there's also like a lot of cameras going on. And
oh, wow.
Anyway, I was painting with him one night, and this guy was obviously sleeping in the exact carriage that I was in. He opened the door right where I was and tried to grab me, and we all just went ran like fucking like, yeah. We all just like bolted. My friend went and grabbed his camera, and it's so cool. You see it in like the
In the video?
Footage, like where he like runs up to it and like grabs it. And
Good
so this
chase
guy's
scene
running
shit.
after us, and he's so angry. Like he's pissed off. He's like, "You've taken my train." He was speaking in
It's
Polish.
my nap. You woke me up from my nap.
He was also like so passionate about his train. Like, yeah, it was like his thing.
It's my
like,
cleanest train.
like he was meant to look after this this train, and he couldn't look after
it was his prize.
He was like angry about it, so he's just like running, and he grabbed me so hard that I like whooped back, and I just punched him in the face and managed to get away.
Wow.
That was a pretty crazy night. It was also in the middle of summer, and I don't think people realize this, but in Norway, summer, like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, is sunlight. Like it's completely it's the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So it was the middle of the day that all of this happened. It wasn't like you were
dude sleeping and you're just punching a dude, like, casual.
Yeah. It was pretty mad. Had a crazy thing happen in Amsterdam with this guy Robot. He painted here a few times in South Africa, but he was like adamant. We had been like street bombing all night, and he was like, "Let's go paint a tram." And I was like, "Okay, sure, why not? Like, let's go do that." And halfway through painting the tram, like all the lights just went on, like almost like a movie, and there was suddenly like 20 people on us.
Were you in a yard or were you on the street?
We were in a yard.
Okay. Tram yard. Shit.
And we had to run, and it was Amsterdam, like central Amsterdam. So we were just constantly running like down things, and like we kept missing canals the whole time. And then he bolted one way, I bolted another way. We were fine. We ended up drinking a lot of tequila when we finally reconnected.
Like met up again.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But anyway.
I love this. It's a great story. So we're sort of like near the end of the episode, and I just want to ask you if you have any like shout outs to anyone, any inspirational views on anything.
I honestly don't know what I was doing for 20 odd years, and I'm sorry if I'm not like the right inspiration for that for people, but like I was
think you
like
do it by just doing it, right? That's how I feel.
I was
like
just
what you said about Bushy Walk. Yeah, you're doing your thing.
Yeah,
people have been around to see it, and like that is all that it takes, really.
It was a huge shock to me that people even knew who I was when I came back after so many years overseas, and like it was a really cool thing. But I would like to say some names if I can.
Please.
Bushy Wop, Conform, Spot, Nod, Annoy, Policy, and Zombie. They are like my homies. They're the best. Curio, Wheels, Falco, Mapes, Sudum, Trap, and like all the guys doing cool stuff in Joburg. Like I'm super excited about what you guys are doing, and Plague and Tumor and all the guys in Cape Town. Like, please keep painting graffiti, and we see you. I know, like, there are these young guns coming in, and I feel
they worry about what people think. You don't have to. We see you. Just do what you're doing. It's cool.
Yeah,
we dig it.
I'm so stoked for them. So. Yeah.
And also some shout outs to Econ, because rest in peace, and it's important,
The man that started it all, really, and he did a lot for graffiti in South Africa.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for recognizing him.
No, I mean, geez, of course. I'm so happy to have had you on the show tonight. Thank you so much, Motel. And yeah, we look forward to the next one, because there will be follow-ups where we've drunk a whole bottle of whiskey and all. And I've pissed like 5 times.
I'm looking forward to
Snoop.
that.
Come in twice, so one of the times he's passed out.
Shut up.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And if you guys want to follow along, you can follow our journey either on Offline Guys Podcast on Instagram, or you can email your questions and thoughts, ideas to offlineguyspodcast@gmail.com. And we're available on all of your favorite streaming services. That includes Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.